Hello, everyone. I am Legally Bronze, and this is a new episode of TPPI. And things are going to be looking a little different in this room since last episode because I sort of sectioned off this reactor here. I moved it over by one, and then I put this little sort of like caution tape thing on the ground. Since that reactor is so hot, that if I approach it, yeah, there we go. It starts hurting me. I guess it took a minute for that to figure out that was happening. Is the music too loud? Sounds slightly too loud. Turn it down a little more. I did that. I added this wall. I extended the room by a bit, and I sort of planned out possibly, as you can see, 2 rows of reactors here. So, 10 reactors. Excuse me, 8 reactors. That'd be 8 reactors if I stacked them like that. Because they're not all going to be MOX reactors. Like, I wish they were all MOX reactors, but I don't have the plutonium for that. I only have enough plutonium over here to set up, maybe 2 other reactors could be MOX reactors. So I could run 3 at a time, which isn't horrible, but, like, I need to use this regular, uranium fuel, because that gets me plutonium, once I can recycle these. Oh, crap. Do I have my bucket of milk on me? Okay, I do. I think this will cure me. Never mind. I can't drink the bucket of milk. Okay, fortunately, that's over. But anyway, I need to be able to use up the regular, uranium fuel, because that'll get me a lot more plutonium. So, I mean, all of these being regular uranium reactors is currently the plan. I think that's like 840 EU per row. So 8, 16, 24, 32. What is that? 3360. I think EU a tick, and then plus this is like another 1200. So like 4,500 EU a tick if all of this is, jamming at the same time. And that's pretty good. That's a lot of energy. So I'm happy with that currently. I just have to get all of the stuff to build those. But I don't really need to do that yet because, I know what I'm going to do up there. But I'm not going to set all the rest of that up until I have something that is actually going to take that power. And what I talked about in the previous episode was, setting out a ton of IC2 and GregTech machines to be able to have crafting in parallel and, like 0 time or near 0 time crafting for stuff. And I was going to do it in this room. I was planning to tear out, just like every machine and set it up in this room. And I started setting up, like, this was supposed to be an industrial blast furnace out of cobble, so I was sort of planning it out. And I put this down, and I realized that this room, to have proper, like, sort of room around the machine and, trying to make it look nice and everything spaced nice. And I want to have, 2 industrial blast furnaces. I think 2 industrial grinder setups as well, and then I still, I need the implosion compressor and the vacuum freezer, and those are big multi-blocks, and then, I'm going to have, multiple, macerators and plate bending machines, because, like, all of these plates, I'm going to have their own machine, or is going to get its own plate bending machine, specifically chrome and titanium and even steel, and then tungsten and iridium. Things like copper, tin, and iron I can do in metal formers, and I'm going to do in metal formers because I can overclock the metal formers way more than the plate bending machine, because, like, the plate bending machine currently it's got 3 overclockers, and it's a GregTech machine, whereas the metal formers industrial craft 2. And so I could overclock this up to 4, but the problem with that is that it'll take more energy, like, basically per process then I can provide it, which is the problem I have with this plate bending machine in this bag. It has 4 overclocker upgrades in it, and it doesn't function. But there is a workaround for that, and I can add battery upgrades. Are they in this interface here? Here's like a basic energy storage upgrade. And that's what I meant, not a battery upgrade, an energy storage upgrade. But where are they? Here's a Lapotron crystal upgrade, which, you know, it's cheap. It's just an aluminum plate and a Lapotron crystal, and the machine will store an additional 10 million EU. But that just means that the machine has to be like fully charged with that battery upgrade, and I think also receiving power basically at the same time in order to be able to run with 4 overclockers. And it's like, if I need to run it for an extended period, you have to have a lot of battery upgrades in it, and possibly even like the energy orb upgrade, because you can put, I think it's 8 of these Lapotron upgrades in there, so it'll hold 80 million, but you could put in like 12 energy orb upgrades or 13, you know, so the machine would just hold a ridiculous amount of power. But that's expensive. That's not happening. I'm not gonna waste that much iridium on that machine. But, you know, so for regular like titanium and chrome and steel and tungsten, I'm gonna use this machine, not these, because unfortunately it would all just be the metal formers on the rolling mode, but this only seems to work with the like vanilla ingots, like iron, and then like the IC2 ingots, like copper and tin and stuff. And it doesn't work with tungsten. It doesn't work with steel. It doesn't work with titanium. So, you know, I'm going to need a bunch of plate bending machines, a bunch of rolling machines. I'm going to need multiple assemblers, and like, I'm not going to be able to fit all this in here. And then there's going to be all the cabling for power and all the ME stuff. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to build a new room. And I've broken, you know, as you can see, I've broken down a bunch of this stuff. It's all in that chest over there. And I'm going to build a new room. And it's going to be over this way, down this hallway. Because, you know, like we talked about previously, I wanted to utilize this side of the base more. And so I've decided that it's going to be built in this direction into this wall. And I was thinking I want it to look like a giant clean room. For those of you that don't know what that is, I don't even know if I can adequately describe it, but it's usually, it's for technology. It's to prevent dirt and stuff from getting into like sensitive electronics, like I think like microprocessors and stuff like that when they're building those, or maybe stuff like, you know, like space, you know, equipment, you know, satellites and stuff. So they'll have a clean room, and it'll be like solid white looking basically, and which is sort of the downside to that, because it's gonna be kind of plain looking possibly. I don't know, but I'm gonna go for it, and it's gonna be a huge room, and it's gonna run probably most of the length of this wall. And I think I'm even going to tear out this wall, or at least portions of it. And there's going to be like a long window. So when you walk down this hallway, you know, just to give this hallway, to break up the monotony of it, when you walk down this hallway, going either direction, you'll be able to look over this way and see, you know, as you walk past, you'll be able to see the rows of machines laid out. And I'd like to say operating, but most of those machines don't have any like graphics or anything that you can see moving. But, you know, it'll look cool. Or at least that's the goal, is for it to look cool, and you know, hopefully this whole hallway will also just sort of look better. Maybe we'll have to see. I gotta try to figure out how this is going to look nice from, you know, sort of the hallway perspective. Looking out, probably, you know, from inside the room probably doesn't matter, but getting maybe the roof to sort of match up with what's going to be like a giant glass, you know, wall. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not exactly great at designing stuff. I wouldn't say I have like an eye for art or, you know, how to make things flow or whatever, but you know, who does? I don't know. If I had an eye for that, I'd be doing that as a job, but instead I have a much lamer job, but it's a living, so whatever. Anyway, so all of that, you know, aside, or, you know, without further ado, I'm going to clear out a large area here with the hammer, and I'll come back, and you'll be able to, you know, see the room as it is once everything's cleared out. You know, it'll help visualize it for me and for you guys. So I'll be right back with a giant area all carved out. All right, guys, we're back here, and I've carved out a bunch of space, and this may not even be as big as this room will end up, you know, being. I'm not really sure yet, but you know, obviously more of this will be removed. I just didn't want to tear down the whole thing yet. Putting in like a giant window here is probably going to be one of the last things I do. But this is about how much additional space we have to work with, all the way down into here. Actually, we don't even have that much because that tank is right there. I can always move that though. Or convert it down into like a quantum tank. We do have the resources to build something like that. But what I did, as you can see, is I started to set up some sort of like what you call them, like an analogs to the machines that would be in here. You know, this would be like an industrial grinder. And these are like the industrial blast furnaces, and I wanted to have 2 of these, and I was thinking 2 of these. But I don't know if I want them to go like this, because my original thought was to have these big machines in the back, and so when you'd come over into the room from, say, you know, like a door here, you'd walk in, and then you could look over rows of machines, and I'd have, say, you know, like 5 macerators here, and maybe, you know, spaced, and then maybe like 5 bending machines, or maybe some, you know, maybe some like compressors. Although maybe I wouldn't have them that close together. Maybe I'd have them spaced maybe like 2 apart as well. Like I have these machines spaced 2 apart, and then I don't know, maybe some centrifuges or something right there. And so, you know, you'd be able to walk in, and I would be able to sort of walk across here and look out over all the machines working. And I was thinking on probably this wall, I would have some information panels, or maybe some applied energistics, you know, panels showing how many like ingots or cells or just other resources we have, and maybe some other stuff. And so that's what I was thinking for this room, but I don't necessarily like how wide it is, and this is about the max width I think I'd have it. You know, I'm not going to stretch it out any further to also have like the implosion compressor, and then the vacuum freezer as well, because I'm only going to have one of those each, and I might have those possibly like right here, actually, be like the implosion compressor, and then maybe the vacuum freezer would be right here. I'm not really sure, but I wanted the bigger machines in the back. That way when I walked in, I could look, you know, over the shorter stuff and still see those. And they wouldn't be, you know, completely blocked, you know, instead of having like these in the front over here and I wouldn't be able to see anything. So this is the one configuration I could have it in. And then, you know, I'd probably have some more rows of machines over here like this, you know, and yeah, like that maybe. I guess I'll just fill out all of this out really for effect, just so we can really visualize what it's gonna look like. Oh, that's offset slightly from what it is on that other side of the room. No matter, it's fine. But, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect right now. This is all just for sort of planning out. So it looks something like that with rows of machines. The other possibility is I could rotate everything 90 degrees and have these bigger machines against this wall. I'd still have these rows the same. You know, there'd just be, you know, all of them over here. You know, move some of these rows over here. And maybe a third row here, and then all these big machines against that wall. Although it doesn't really look like there's enough space for the placement of them. If I started placing them all the way across, I'd have to probably push that wall back further, which would be fine, but then I'd have... I think I'd end up with too much empty space. Right now, I think this is mostly acceptable for how... you know, how much space I really need. Like, I'm not going to need that many rows of, like, IC2 machines and GregTech machines. I don't think. You know, because there's still space. I could have maybe a couple more rows in here, you know, up to close to, like, this area. I don't want them... let's see. I don't think I want any machines to come past, like, this area. So maybe, like, this would be the last row here. Something like this. And I was sort of wanting this middle aisle to where I could walk down and be able to look to get to stuff. Something like that. That's what I'm thinking here. That's why this space is open. And, yeah, it'd be something like that. And then just imagine that this wall is mostly... some kind of glass with connected textures, and I can look out and see the hallway. Not that there's really anything to see in this hallway, but, you know, it's more about me looking into the room from this side of the hallway than being able to look out. But, yeah, that's about how it'll look. The one other thing I did off camera is I got together a bunch of different white blocks, since I want that to be what I guess basically everything, the floor, the ceiling, and the walls, because, you know, I'm trying to go for a clean room look here. I just don't know what kind of block I should use, so I was going to showcase them on camera here and get some input, hopefully, from anyone watching, or I'll just make an executive decision and choose one myself. So let me lay out my options. And here's the quarried stone. This is a Railcraft block. Quarried block, excuse me. But I also do have quarried stone. And these, you know, clearly a very, very different look here for each, because, you know, the quarried stone is the raw kind. Then I've got a block of quartz. I've already been leaning toward the quartz since I first saw it, because I felt it looked more, I don't know, scientific, I guess. Or just, it's cleaner, I guess you could say. Much cleaner look. Let's lay out a second row just to really be able to see it. Light that up more. So there's the quartz. Then I have the marble, which is what the roof is made out of in most of the rooms I have. So it'd look like this, but on the floor. Wow, that is a lot darker. I don't think I'm going to go with that at all. Yeah, I don't not like how it's, because it's not even really white now that I look at it. It seemed kind of white earlier when I was looking at it, but, and this marble is made out of this marble in the floor, and this marble is actually what I really should have there instead of this, because this to me looks too gray. And then the final block that I have is, it's called Canvas. It's an open block. And it's made with paper and a fence. And I don't know if this block is special because it's made out of paper. I don't know. I assume maybe you can paint this. I'm not even sure. But I would assume that since it's made out of paper and called Canvas, that there might be a way to paint it. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, look, there's paint cans. I guess you can paint it any color. how's that made? And there's not a recipe that I can click on here. Maybe I have to put it through a machine. The paint mixer block? I don't know. Oh, that might just create the paint cans. I'm not really sure. I've never really played with open blocks. But that doesn't matter, because I want the room to look white. So, to me, this looks like a bit much on the white. It's too, I don't know, harsh on my eyes, I think. If the whole room looked like that, I think it'd be too harsh on my eyes. Or anyone's eyes, really. But I don't know, you know, a lot of, at least when it comes to the floor, you know, a lot of this will be covered with machines, so maybe that doesn't matter. But, you know, bear in mind, it's also going to be the roof and most of the walls here, so. I mean, personally, I like the block of quartz. The only downside to that is how hard it is to get quartz, whereas all the rest of these are much more easy to get. But, you know, some AFK in the nether with the digital miner will solve the quartz problem, so it's not too big a deal. It would just take a little longer to get the materials, although I might have enough. I mean, I have 5,100 nether quartz and another 11,900 dust, which can be compressed into the equivalent number of just regular quartz over here, so I might have enough on hand already. But these are the color palette, you know, this is the color palette choice. I want this, and yeah, and that's probably the way that this will go, because my vote counts for more than everyone else's. But you know, I'll take into consideration other people's advice, because you know, maybe they can see something I can't. But yeah, so tell me what you want in the comments section. I think I'm going to end the video here, actually, which I don't know. I didn't get much done in this episode, but I want input from people. I want you guys to be involved, and you know, meanwhile, you know, in between episodes, I'm probably going to tear out this floor just so I have space for wiring. So I can do plenty of work off camera. I got to craft up all kinds of machines that's going to fill out this room. So I've got all kinds of stuff to do. And once I know what you guys want, you know, what your input is, I will, you know, this room is going to drastically change, you know, very quickly, rapidly, in the episode after this one. So, yep, here's the choices, guys. You know, quarried, or, what's this? The rail, I'll look at it one more time. We got quarried block, quarried stone, quartz, marble, which I don't want, so I'm actually thinking about just taking that out of the running, and this canvas block. So put your vote in the comments section, or, you know, whatever you, whatever your input will be. And I'll see you in the next episode with, probably that as the floor and walls. But until then, see ya.